Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Hanging Out with Temi. It's good to be here, and I hope you are all doing extremely well. I wasn't here last week, but the ladies, they rock. They rock. And I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to join them. I want to say something. I want to say something. But last week was amazing. And I still got all my questions for you ladies, really, because I thought you went really deep and it was so highly cerebral. So I really, really loved every bit of it. But hey, welcome everybody. And sorry, ladies, for disappointing you last week because I was in Brisbane. The only thing that will not let me live in Brisbane is this internet stuff. I
Oh,
think they had one of the most powerful internet, but it was still messing me up. So I miss you ladies so badly last week. But I'm glad I'm
yes.
here.
Yes, thank you, Temi. It was actually a really amazing time, and I wish that you were there because I would have wanted to get your live insights rather than just in the comments. So maybe today we'll do a little bit of a recap and then we'll get your insights before we go into today's topic.
Fantastic. And Miss Greatness, you are looking all spotless because we are talking about sex today, is it?
Well, because it was a good week.
That's good.
Yeah. No, I haven't, stand in front of a mirror in a long, long while, as in, drawing the lines and all that. So I kind of got into a zone while I was getting ready. So,
Good. Really good. That's what we want. That's what we
yeah.
want. Fantastic. So, welcome everybody. But before you go into your today's topic, sex and relationship, we got no idea where Heidi was taking this. We have not prepared or preempt anything. So, guys, you are as fresh as we are. So, bring your questions straight. So, Heidi.
Yes, yes.
You don't know what she's talking about, but I've got a question from last week that you said something, Heidi. You said men is like a frame, and women is like the fluid. And so the frame, I was looking at the frame is I put it at the strength, as the stability, as the guide, the protector, the parameter. That is a good insight, and I think it will explain a lot of questions that people ask. So if man is defined as a frame, then it makes sense that they most of the time stable, and they have the foresight, and not that women don't do it, but the women as the fluid ID. My input into that is why women are pliable, they're adaptable, they are flexible, you know they can tolerate an environment, even some hostile environment. They can manage, they put up with stuff, and they're enduring. So I think this explanation of the frame and the container that is in it, if we have that clarity, I think there will not be any friction. So whoever is the frame, then let it be. But you are the one that is giving the shape to it. So that, because the frame is like when you build a house, if it's a frame, sometimes a frame on its own is useless. But when you start to remove the rooms, the lounge, the penthouse, then you put more beauty to it. I think that was a good analysis that you put to last week, I did. So that was my own input, uh, contribution, so to say.
Yes, amazing. That's beautiful. Um, so when we say men and women, that's very different than masculine energy and feminine energy, because feminine energy and masculine energy exists in both of us. You
Right.
know, everything is masculine and feminine.
True.
Masculine, actually, the fact is, masculine does not exist without feminine, and feminine
That's,
will never exist without
that's
masculine, because they're For me to be able to drink some water, I need something to drink from, even my hand. So I'll just do this and then drink from my hand, because this is how life works. You know, God has created this whole universe, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, and this is what this whole dynamics is about. So yes, it's very important that we understand, because knowledge is power. And
Yeah.
when we know and when we understand, we will avoid misunderstandings, and we will avoid friction, and we will avoid so many problems and difficulties. And when I see a man, being a man, I'm not going to be offended.
Yeah.
That's a man being what he's supposed to be. Well done. Good on you. Just be
Yeah.
that. And let me be what I need to be as well. Because there's no point in us fighting for things, and fighting for places, and fighting for jobs, and fighting
Yeah.
for different, dimensions, when we don't need to. This is the thing. This is why we were talking about. This is why it's important. That's what Liz raised around the femininity, and what did she say about the what's it called, the feminist act, and drive, and all of that. She said that they are not. What did you say, Liz? Can you say it again? What you said last week?
Was it the issue of access to resources?
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
that what you
yes,
mean?
yes.
Okay.
Which was good. Which was
Yeah.
good.
And I think adding to the access to resources, once you start that debate, obviously it inevitably goes into fairness and justice. You can't deal with excess of resources without going into issues of equity and fairness and justice. You just open that one door, and eventually all the other doors open. So, and I think that's the reason why it looks like a fight, because now there are different aspects that we need to deal with within the issue of access to resources, and that makes it look really a bit I don't want to say messy, but weighty. But ideally, we're talking about resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also very important for us to notice. The women that are in this drive, or this act, or this whatever they want to, like the move that these women have, is not about fighting for positions. It's about asking for equal opportunity in resources. That's all. So this is
Yes.
important for us to understand, because
True.
men look at these women and go, what are these ladies doing? They are pretending to be men. They are denying their femininity, or whatever it is no, they're not. They're not. They are not getting the point. The point is that these women are just asking for equal opportunity in resources and access to resources. So that's very important. That is amazing, that Liz brought this up, because I wouldn't have known anything about it, because I'm not involved in any of that. So thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
It's true. I think if we narrow the problems down, then it will be manageable. But I think some people are hijacking it, Liz. They're taking it to somewhere else. And I just want to, for me, I'm not with the movement as well, because it's like you said, it's just messy and it's just intertwined, is a lot. So let us narrow it and let us call it what it call them out. And I kept on saying it. I know of a friend of mine who is an architect, and she told me that she's paying 20,000 less than the male counterpart. I think we should talk about this on a show. I think it's a hot topic that we need to talk about. Why aren't those people coming out and mentioning the names of the organizations that are doing this? So we all know them. These ones are racist, this one are sexist organization, So, but I think it's a topic that we need to talk about the next time. The other thing I was going to mention is you're right about this. There's feminism in masculinity, because there's Y. I think I said it last week. Y and X chromosome in every individual depends on the one that is dominant and the one that is recessive. So there's neither male or female, but in our roles, then there's different. However, I want to pick up on the other thing that I wrote a lot of things from last week, but I'm not going to go through everything. I'm going to raise one other question and then we'll go to today's topic. You were saying something that being a pilot, if it's paying, if it's paying or not, is it paying the women or not? Being a pilot. So I was wondering what you meant by that, because a lot of women might not even want to be mothers, they might not want to be parents, and they might decide to follow through and in their career, being a pilot or submarine engineer or whatever. So I just want to clear that that will not make them any less a woman either. And I think Liz mentioned that uh in terms of the take home, when you talk about the capital, then it's going to pay them. But then if they want to think about, if they are parents, for example, then they're probably going to consider how do they want to parent. But my point is, I've heard of a parent, a man, that says, my wife is highly paid. My wife is extremely attached to her career. And the man gave up on his own career for the woman to go. And then how good is that? So I just want to say, if your wife is doing well, better than you're doing, because we're not competing now, you can always do something around your wife's profession. I don't think these days that it has to be the women that we always give up on their career, we always give up on everything just to look after the home front. Are there men that will look after the home front as well? Are there men that cares about the family as well? So I'm very curious, and I think we should talk about that, really. Like, men too can give up, and if your wife is a pilot and she's doing well and you're not a pilot, then I don't think there's anything wrong in it. But let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, you or Liz or whoever out there wants to contribute might contribute to this query. We'll be back. Welcome back on the show. Just talking about last week topic that Heidi was talking about women being a pilot, or they doing some profession that are maybe highly masculine or highly demanding. That is that serving them, and is that what they want to do? And my point is, I think sometimes if a woman is the one that is doing really well, men should be able to swallow their pride, because it's not about pride in this type of relationship. It's for the whole unit together, striving, being good. A man can be a motor mechanic in their garage and be working from their home while they're working around the wife who is a pilot. I'm soliciting that it doesn't have to be every time women giving up on their life career, on their desire in life, just to support the home because the men won't do it. I don't think that is what makes I don't know. That's just my point. What do you say, Heidi?
Okay, so that actually brings us to today's topic.
Okay.
Because we are talking about relationships.
Okay.
And family dynamics. And it's important that we understand and identify and define what is a relationship, in a partnership. Now, let's just define some terms.
Okay.
When we go into a relationship, when I am in a relationship with a man, my husband, for example, or my partner, I am an entity on my own. He is an entity on his own. And then the relationship that we have is an entity, is a third entity. It's not mixed and matched between us. An entity, it's a being. This entity needs to be put in. We need to put in the work together. We need to nurture it together. We need to make it grow together. We need to be available for this to survive. So in a relationship, It's not me and him. No, it's me and him and the relationship.
You kept on saying that. You've said this many times. So
Yes.
I actually don't understand that I'm an entity, my partner is an entity, and relationship is an entity. If
Yes.
you I'm confused about that because you've said this many times and I really want to understand it. Like when you say that, so does that mean that either of these three can work autonomously, independent of each other? Is that what it means?
No, I mean that the relationship is not me and it's not him. So when I want to give something to the relationship, it's
Yes.
not that I am applying myself, and I am, doing that for him. No, I might be
Okay.
doing it for the relationship, you see.
Right.
So there is
Yes.
a responsibility to that being, that entity.
True. Yes,
You
I get
see,
it.
so I have my own dreams. He can have his own dreams, but then that relationship needs to go on and needs to survive, because a lot of people, this is what happens. Unconscious, what's it called? Conscious uncoupling.
Mhm. Yeah.
Conscious
Yeah.
uncoupling is what? Is one party, saying, well, you know what? I don't like the relationship. I'm just going to withdraw. And then the other person going, oh, you know what? Oh, they're not really into the relationship. So we're just going to, separate. And
No.
no one says anything.
Hmm.
Silent. No one
Yeah.
says anything. And then it starts happening and starts, people start separating under the same roof. And they look like they're happy. They look like they have something together. They look like they're going out together, but there's nothing there. There's no relationship. It's like I'm in here because it's convenient. He is in here because it's also convenient, or there is something that we're doing together, but there is no entity of a being that we are together growing and together manifesting a beautiful life together. You see, I'm doing my own, he's doing his own. So this is what an entity is like. It's a being. It's like when you have a business, Temi. Are you your business?
No.
So you are not your relationship.
That's true. That's true because the way it's explained, I would have explained differently, but it means the same thing. Because if we both have vested interest in this relationship, then we will both be conscious in feeding it, in making sure we're nourishing the relationship. Makes a lot of sense, and that's the truth. Because Heidi, I'm gonna pick on you. I think that's what you do. That's what you're doing even right now. So you're you can say this 100% and I believe you because you're even living in now. You are no longer in this relationship, but you know that this relationship is not even me. So it can still come to my house and have a cup of tea. I'll give it to him, even though I have nothing. So you're still, because some other relationship, in terms of the children, they're attached to this. So you
Yes.
can't allow this relationship to fall because a lot of things are attached to it, not for your own selfish interest, but for the essence of the relationship. Fantastic. I get it. And that's it. I hope everyone gets this thing because if we get it, then there will not be, if it doesn't do this, I don't do this. The other point that
Yes.
you raised, ID, it's a killer point, and I think we should make it a hot topic because I personally know people that are living in this relationship. So I think we might get some specialists to come help us too. I have a friend that is in this sort of a relationship. There's no attachment, but they'll have children. They have children, and I believe that the children are even suffering because my point also, like I said, is the attachment to this relationship. The children will grow up to think relationship is like this, like there's no life, it's like dead, there's no fun, there's no affection, and the children are growing in this environment believing this is life. So when they now have their relationship, what do you think they're going to do?
Yes,
They
exactly. Mhm.
And this becomes a generational disease, generational problem. And then we say, why did we get into this? We need to know the story of people, how they get to where they get to. Because if we know it, if we fix it, then there will not be this problem in the future. But we're raising some monsters if we continue to do this. Relationship of convenience is deadly, especially when the children are involved in it. It's just crazy. It takes the children to school. That's why. Get a support person, get a carer. A carer can take children to school. I
Yeah.
mean, and in Australia, there's a lot of support for you. You don't need this guy because this guy does not do anything for you. Zero, Heidi. We don't even talk for a year and 2 years. And you said because he's taking the children to school. What's that? The children, you're damaging the children is, and I've said this before to some of my friends that are in this situation. The reason why they're still there, I really don't know. This is damaging, even to her own psyche, your own mental. Are you gonna be 70, 60 years like this all your life? The man is in bondage, you are in bondage, the children are in bondage, the relationship, everything is being sabotaged and
Mm.
so, but I'll talk. I'll stop and let Liz contribute her own quota. Go ahead, Liz.
Um, this is the reality in which we live. We definitely have homes where um, people rather coexist rather than having a relationship, and the dynamics are really challenging to understand from the outside. We may say what's in there. Why is he still there? Why is she still there? It really is difficult to understand from the outside. I think it would be nice if we have the people that are in such situations to really just open
Lot.
up perhaps and say what's the issue, because some dynamics, some people are there because of economical situations.
Yeah.
As you rightly say, other people are there because of the children. And when you argue, these things as in highlighting the details of their reasons, that's when eventually you get an understanding of what the issue is, because some people don't even realize that the argument that they advance has got solutions,
Yeah.
so if I think the best is, having an open discussion with, like you've been saying, with your friend, so that can at least lead to some sort of an understanding, delayering the argument and get to the core of it, so that there is help for somebody like this. Because to be honest, I would say I definitely agree with what you said in terms of how it affects you psychologically. Everybody needs somebody, and
Yeah.
you really need some sort of attention, some sort of recognition, some sort of validation
But
every once in a while. So if you live in that situation where there is none of this coming your way, and more so when there are children, then as you rightly say, we're doing such disadvantage to the psyche of the children that we are raising, let alone your own. And God help us for where we're going to in that case.
yeah, I agree.
Mm.
I agree. So God will help us, and like you said, there's help. We shouldn't live in fear. There is help, and the
Yeah.
people, and it's not just one person that is suffering in this case. The man is suffering, the woman is suffering, the dogs are suffering, the children, everybody is suffering. There's help. But we'll go on a quick break, and Heidi we go back, we go deeper into today's conversation. Looking
Mhm.
forward. Sit tight, be back. Welcome back on the show. My family has been texting me from all over. I'm on the show. Stop texting, right? Welcome back. Can I just even quickly say, use the opportunity to say thank you to everybody that has been supportive of me all this time that my father is gone. And I was quickly sharing with ID before. I think he's gone, but he's somewhere. He's still not cremated, is still not buried. And so I think that is heavy on me, and I guess it will be heavy on everybody. And I think, the Muslim way is kind of a good way, because they bury the person and then you start moving on slowly. And I think some Christians too, they do it, but I think the earlier you bury your loved ones and let them rest in peace, it's better than just keep them somewhere and they're there. I will look at his photo and I will sleep, and like, my father is somewhere but he's not talking, it's freezing. Well, never mind. So
Yeah.
I think that is why it's a bit hard. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody. I just can't get over it. Flowers, gifts coming, cup of tea. And in fact, Liz was still with me yesterday, having a cup of tea, still holding my hands. I'm getting spoiled, but truly, thank you so much. And it's unreal. An idea. I need to say thank you also for hanging out with me on Thursday night. It's
Yeah, it
been
was a good night. Yeah.
so I'm really blessed. Thank you, everybody. But idea, I'll let you go to today's topic. Well, your topic.
Okay. All right. So let's do before we go into today's topic, we need to recap from last week what we said about how our brains are designed and how women and men are very different.
Yeah,
Okay, we have different ways of thinking because we have different brain structure. We have different ways of feeling emotions because our brain structure, and we have ways of being because of our brain structure. So men don't understand the ability of putting one event into two different or three different spots and boxes,
yeah,
while women, they operate from 1500 boxes at the same time and they're all good, have no problem whatsoever, looking at so many different ways. So this is what women are, and this is what men are. So now when we come to talk about the relationship,
yeah.
all right, that we have with our spouses, our partners, you know, men come into the relationship looking for something. Women come into the same relationship looking for something else totally different.
Oh dear.
And then we start communicating, but then we don't talk the same language, you see. So I will say, I would like you to come with me shopping. And he will say, but I hate shopping. The fact is, what I want to say is that I really want to spend some time with you in something that I value, and
Mhm.
I would like you to accompany me. And he's telling me, but I don't understand what you're saying because I hate going shopping. And if you only tell me that you want me to be with you and to spend some time with you, I can start suggesting new things to do instead of just going shopping together. So this is where clarity comes in place, where I would ask, you know, these are the things that are very important for me in a relationship. I would like some quality time. I would like, words of affirmation. I would like, acts of service. And I would like this, I would like that. And he can tell me, well, this is how I receive love. It's very different. People have different ways of giving and different ways of receiving love. The thing is, we kind of assume. We
That's right.
assume. So many assumptions happen in relationship. I come to you, Temi, and I notice that you are so big on doing your hair, your makeup, your changing the way you wear clothes, and very fancy all the time. And I'm looking at you thinking, okay, well, I'm in my sneakers and my tracksuits, and what is Temi thinking about me?
Right.
So this is a great, distinction. We're both women,
Hmm.
but we are being different.
Right.
So imagine now bringing a man into the equation. We're not just different sexes, we are also different beings altogether. Was brought up, in a different place. I was brought up in with my parents, and we had these things. He had these things, and we had our family problems. He had his family problems, and we're both coming together trying to mesh into this relationship, and we don't know what the hell is going on, why it's not working. I'm going to say one
Yeah.
thing, and I'm going to ask you ladies, because both of you are married.
Uh-oh.
I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong, that the glue that holds the relationship together is values, not love.
Yeah.
Love is not the thing that holds the family together or the relationship together.
Mm.
It's values.
It's true.
What do you guys think?
100%.
You agree?
100%, it's values, real truly. Um, when I met my husband, the first thing I said to him was, I'm a born again Christian. I'm just loving God right now. And so to marry, when we were about to marry, the only thing you're gonna do for me is to serve God honestly and wholly, not to love me, to serve God. Because I believe that if you have the fear of God, if you love God, I've always believed that you will have conscience, you will have a heart of kindness. Because if you can't love God and not be kind. So I worked with him on that. Voila, loved God, and then married till today. That's what is sustaining our marriage. Because me, left me with it, it's probably going to be scattered by now. Like, I zero tolerance for nonsense. But but with God, what he has the fear of God as well, that okay, let's bring God factor into it. So it's value, 100% value. And
Mm.
this love, I don't even know how you define the love. That's another thing.
Yeah.
What's love? It's a different definition. And I think love is different to different people,
Yes.
because it's not something that you can really, really define, from my own perspective. But values, you can define them. They're very struck, they're tangible, they're unique. Do you know what I mean? So values are, but love, what is love? Some people love bag, some people love cat, some people love, you can love anything. So it depends. It's how you define love. But you're very right, values 100%.
Yes. What about you, Liz?
Yeah, I also agree with regards to values. What I want to say or what I want to ask is, as time goes by and, people change, obviously their values also change. What happens when that happens in a relationship and you realize, the two of you are not at the same frequency in terms of the values anymore? Can I ask that question to you, Heidi?
Yes. So that's a really important question. And yes, that happens. People get together and then they start either growing together or growing apart.
Mhm.
And the part of someone growing apart is that they are embarking on a journey where they have changed their values that they started off with. And so this is why I get included into some of these people and some of these partnerships that maybe sometimes they are considering separation, considering divorce, because it feels like they have changed. And people don't change, but what happened, like, I mean, people change because change is the only constant, but it's not that they have changed. More, it's like my values has changed. I am not the same person I was when I got married 20 years ago. I didn't even know what values are. Had
Yeah.
no idea what values are. So therefore, when values change, it's always going to be an open invitation to the other partner. I have discovered this. I am growing into this. Would you like to hold my hand and come along with me? If it's something that is good for the relationship, then it's good. We will identify it and we will work together on it. But if it's something that they have resistance to, then I will carry on with my journey, but also be in the relationship as much as I can, accommodating what we vowed for. Okay, and um, this is what happens. People change their values all the time. I changed my values. I changed my values from December till now. I went to Egypt one person, I came back another one. in so many different ways. I looked at life in a different way altogether. I had no idea that I could do life without structure, without benchmarks. I had no idea that I could just flow. I had no idea that that's a thing. So I came back with a different understanding of life, another layer peeled from my onion. And therefore now I'm looking at life and thinking, well, how am I going to do flow? I don't understand flow very much. If I had a partner right now, and then we had a structure to the relationship, we had structure to life, what was he going to do? But then comes the big question of, is the relationship in its value as a value
That's
worth
right.
it? Is it worth it? Because when it's not, that's when people exit. Because this is what happened. I exited when I felt like it's not worth it.
Right.
There's so much more to life than arguing and having fights and getting children involved. There's so much more to being, rather than just having depression and anxiety because of I don't know how to be. There's so much more. So it's important to identify your own needs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is now going to the sexual relationship. I need to identify my own needs, and I need to ask for my needs in the relationship. I need to be clear. It's like people are not mind readers. Why am I expecting my partner to know exactly how I like to be loved, or exactly how I like to be, approached, when I haven't really discussed it, when I haven't really disclosed it, when I haven't really voiced it? How is someone else going to understand me before I start understanding myself?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it very clear that I need to understand myself so I can tell someone about me? This is this mistake people, fall into sometimes. They get into relationships and they don't even know themselves. They don't even know who they are, and they don't even know what they stand for. And therefore, life becomes a chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, the relationship is breaking. The relationship is breaking. He's doing this. I can't believe he's doing this. I can't believe she's doing that. Well, there's no clarity in communication. Communication is so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, values change, and this has to be communicated. This has to be communicated. And one value that I always recommend for people is growth. Let's
Yeah.
all grow.
Mm-hmm. True.
Let's all grow. Yeah.
That's true. And I want to make a comment about UID that you said that you went to Egypt and you changed. Uh, but I said that changing, that's what I was the way I defined the women about being flexible, about being pliable, about being adjustable. But that is you to you, but not that's not to your relationship. You see, some values are core values. Respect is core for me. So
Yeah.
if you say you're changing because people change and then you're disrespectful, I'm not going to put up with that. If you say you're honest in the relationship, I have a child that is big with honest. She's so big and she's extremely forgiving. She forgives instantaneously when you are honest. If you're honest with bad thing, I'm not going to forgive instantaneous. I will still be thinking, what else we should do? What has he done? But if you're honest to my daughter, one of them, she forgives you because that is her benchmark. Remember how we did benchmark here? There are
Mm,
some that are benchmark. It's the value. Do not defile my home. You can't say you're changing, your value is changing, that's going to change. That cannot change. That's why I was defining my values as being very tangible. You can name them and they're not moving because these values are really cemented in Christ. You can,
mm,
especially in relationship. For me, a lot of associate friends, neighbors, they can offend me It might mean zero to me. I might not even, and I've said this before, I forget that you ever offended me. I'll forget you. I forget your name. I forgot all about you. And I will forgive you and discard you like piece of water. God forgive me. But that's the way I manage my life, because a lot of people will come across and annoy you. So if you want to start getting angry with this, angry with that, you will die. So what I do from when I was young is to release people, forget and forgive and go forever. That's me. But in my relationship with my partner, that does not work. If you move any of that values, the whole house is coming down. We're not moving it. That's the
Mm.
frame of the family. So I just want to establish that values for me is big. Love, forget it. I can love myself. I can get love with ID by just having a cup of tea and cheesecake. I'm having life. That's fine. Forget about that. But values, that is the essence of this unit, and let us keep it. And also the people that we brought together to life, they can define us, and say, my family relation, my parents, this is who they are. This is what their relationship is built on. But if we're like shaft, then the children cannot. Even me as a friend, I can define you and your relationship, guys. The one that is in relationship and the one that isn't, I still can define your values, and I
Mm.
appreciate and cherish that. But and I know that you're not changing those. But if you're flexible with the way, you are
Mm.
not micromanaging, Heidi, that's
Mm.
fine. That is
Mm.
growth, because we change in terms of that. Now I know that people can have tattoo, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Before it was like thin, but it's okay. It's about growth and let people be. Just
Mm.
I'll mention that. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm.
So she will go on a quick break and then we'll be back. Is that right, Heidi?
Yep, that's good.
Lovely. We're back on the show and we're still talking about sex and relationships. And we get Miss Heidi Soliman to keep it going. But something came to my mind before we go. I remember what Lee said last week. Sorry, I've been thinking about what did she say? She said, if the women were created first, there would not be need for men. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That was a good one. That is very debatable. But anyway, I'll let ID go. And I
Well,
thought that,
that is not debatable. That's the truth. If we were created first, then why would we need, the
oh,
men? Honestly, this is
poor
this is
men.
we can do it all, right? We can do it all. We are able to carry on with this life. We can do this whole life,
Uh,
and but come on, really, we were created together because we are meant to be that way. We are meant to be forever helping each other and assisting each other to have a good life and to lead each other to a better life later on as well. So I believe in that very highly, and now I want to take us in a journey to talk about sex.
uh-oh.
Yes. So
Mm,
exactly how we are thinking differently and we make sense of things differently, that topic of sex is also one of those things that
mhm.
men think about in a way and then women feel about it in a different way. So
Right.
men think about, women feel.
Yeah, true.
So men,
Mhm.
they're
Yeah.
looking for, so this is what I discovered recently, and I was shocked when I discovered that when I was doing categorical medicine. This is what our New German medicine describes that sexual relationship between men and women. When men want sex, they
Hmm.
have this urgency. They have an urgency. It's
Yeah.
like the same urgency as I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like that urgent.
Mm,
Now, women do not understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand because we don't make sense out of sex. We feel
Mm-hmm.
sex.
Yeah.
We are emotional beings, and we all what we want is to be involved into an emotional
Right.
interaction. You
Yeah.
know, sex happens, great. Sex doesn't happen, also great. Now men are not like that.
All right.
They
True.
are in this for that.
Hmm.
Okay, now this is, I'm not talking about psychologically, I'm not talking about mentally, I am talking biologically.
Mm.
I'm talking biologically. They are they are there waiting for this. Now men are hunters, okay? Men are hunters. What does that mean? That means they will notice a prey, and their wives are going to be sitting down thinking, oh my goodness, what is he doing? He's looking at this woman's ass. No, he is a hunter. He's watching a prey. He's not a man looking at a woman.
Wow. That's
Now,
terrible.
no, you see, it's not terrible, Temi, when you understand that biologically this is how they are. So, Liz, I can see you laughing. What do you want to say? Tell me, tell me.
Oh my
Come
gosh.
out and say it.
Women needs to hear this to know that they're
No,
pretty.
I'm just taken by the watching the prey part of it.
I know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and have you noticed that, Liz? Do you notice that a lot of men just, eyes are watching, women going passing by. This is what they do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even when they're driving, you see the car, slowly. Yeah, no, they definitely do that. And I mean, women are beautiful. Even
True.
even to us, you look at a woman, you say, wow, that's really beauty walking there. So if we ourselves can notice that towards each other, you can imagine how men can be triggered by that very beauty, that we are talking about. So definitely as a hunter, you would want to give it a closer look.
That
Yes.
this is crazy. I remember one year we were in South Africa. Oh my gosh. I was going I could not believe how beautiful those women were. The figure. So I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, concentrate on it, look straight. Don't even dare. Men, the waist is in, and this is you know, what is this? Little kids, big people, everybody. It's crazy. You're right. And but the thing is, as long as you look and you don't stay there, just
Yes.
look at the handcraft of the Most High God and admire and just say, God, you are good. Go back to God, honey. Don't go there. It's not about that. It's about the person that made it. Hallelujah. Think about God that made it. Don't go. What are you gonna do? I said to my husband, close your eyes, honey, or you look straight. But I married to a man that will kill me. He's watching, but he's so sharp. I tell you. So even if you close his eyes, he's sane. I don't know how he does it. Because I had a typical example. It was in Nigeria a long time ago. I was looking at these three girls by the roadside. He was driving, and I'm looking at them and say, oh my gosh, that girl is so pretty. And then I saw one that was very pretty. And I said to my husband, did you see that? Guess what he said to me? Was it the one in the orange or in the yellow? I'm like, did you see all of them? What? I only saw
Yes.
one, and I wasn't driving. I was the passenger, and I turned. I saw one person. He saw the whole three, and he was telling me. So that's why even if you close their eyes, some of them have got eagle eyes. They still see. But I'm just want to say, just see and give glory to God, who is the creator of heaven and earth and all these beings. Don't think, because like they say, Satan put a thought in the mind of Judas and made Judas to betray Jesus, and then downhill from there on. So don't stay there. Have a look and go back to God and move on. But you're right, Liz, because some ladies are damn sell. They just crazy. You know. I remember one time, remember when we were in Williamstown and Liz wore this dress. I'm like, oh my God. Remember? Liz, this is too crazy. What did you want all these poor men to think about you? You're married, for crying out loud. Next time, can you cover it a little bit more? This is too much for me. If it was too much for me, imagine the poor men. You know what I mean? So we can't ultimately be blaming the poor men, like you said, because God created some beautiful piece. And but look and move on. That's what I say.
Yeah, so it's important that us ladies also we act in a way that is appropriate to our dignity and our honoring of our temples. You see, so knowing that men are hunters doesn't allow them to abuse me, or doesn't allow them to do any harm for me. However, I understand that these looks are a hunter's look. They are hunting. They're not. They don't mean to be bad. They don't mean to to do anything wrong. They are just being who they are. Who they are.
Yeah.
So women, we need to observe. It's better for us to observe what we are going around in, because it's important that we have this holy temple looked after, and not just as an exposed prey for anyone to look at. It's important that we understand this. It's so important. Even there is a verse in the Bible that says, can't remember now, but Temi would know, that being modest, and covering up is so important. And not going around in different kinds of clothes that will just trigger people around us. And as you said, if women are triggered, then what are the poor men going to do?
Yeah.
It's important that we understand this one. So it's also important that we as wives and partners, we are very clear on our boundaries with
Right.
our partners, with our husbands. We are clear on our boundaries that, look, I understand that you can't stop looking at this. And I understand that even if you try, you won't be able to. I understand. Now, please try to understand that it's not appropriate that you do this, and it's not appropriate that you do that, and be very clear on what is appropriate and what is not, what is allowed and what is not in the relationship. Because a lot of people, sometimes they don't put the boundaries, and they don't put the limits and the limitations for the other party. So how would they know? How would they know? Like I said, who's a mind reader in the relationship? So also, one thing I've noticed in our cultures is that we don't provide enough sex education to our children.
Yeah, I know.
They get it at school, but we don't give them that at church.
I know. This has been coming up recently, and it's funny. This topic you're sharing today is what the other one of the people that I admire, they were sharing the same thing yesterday about
Oh,
sex. The men think the women feel exactly the same thing they were talking about yesterday. But before we go to the sex education, I want to just encourage also with the values that you need to be able to trust the person you're with, be it man or woman. Because I remember one of the things people were talking about, it's not that women don't see men that are attractive either. You know, you see Denzel Washington, for cry out loud. You go out and you see all these masculine, whatever it is. We see them, but we're like, no, I'm happy with what God gave me. This is my cross. I'm carrying it and I'm happy. It's painful, but I'm carrying it. Women too say, and some women, they have a masculinity that is dominant too. They could be a hunter. So this thing of categorizing doesn't really, it's not applicable to every being. Some women, they hunt. Some women are promiscuous. Is this good? No. This is a sin. This is dangerous and harmful to your life as well. So I just want to say, men will look, women will look. Importantly, you need to be honest and open in your conversation. So, like I turned my own to laughter to my husband, and I even went ahead to the next stage of dressing, to kill. And my husband is like, "Where are you going, honey?" I'm like, "If you're looking at Beyonce, don't ask me that question because I'm on my way out." It's like, "No, you're not going out like that." I say, "If you look at Beyonce, she wore the same thing. I'm wearing it." Just for fun, we just laugh and make fun. So I just want to say, be open and honest. Be with a partner that you can actually have a conversation and laugh things out. It helps. Don't try and dress up like them. And my mother used to say, the fact that a dress looks good on the mannequin doesn't mean it's going to look good on you. If that's not your style on it, you're going to look ugly in it. Don't try and and just want to impress your husband and change to something that you're not. Both parties needs to be comfortable with who they've got, because that's what you've got. Then live with it. Trust and open and honest conversation. It spices relationship up. It just makes it funny. It just makes it fun. Try it out. It helps. I just want to say that. So sex education ID, that's where you were going.
Yes, yes, and it's important that we provide that for our children from a Christian perspective, because they get that at school at year 9. Year 9 is, they have a whole unit of sex education. Both girls went through it, but sex education from school is not going to be the same thing as from church. So this is very important that we have. They had a group of teenagers that came to speak to them about sex, and I'm thinking, wow, they need a mother and a father.
I wonder what they talk to them about.
Oh, everything. They talk about safe
But
sex. They
you
talk about.
went through that, didn't you? You studied here. So did they teach
No,
you?
I missed out on that because I started in year 10.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I started in year 10, but the girls did. The girls had this education, and they told them about safe sex. They told them about what to use and when to use it, and they talked about what happens if you get pregnant, and they talked about masturbation. They talked about everything. They covered all topics, which is great. I would have rather loved it to come from a mother and a father. Like, the father would take the boys in an excursion and explain to them the emotional roller coaster that they might have, and then a mother would take these girls and explain to them what their bodies is made out to do, and how do we honor it and honor the emotions and the feelings that we have in it, and to honor our organs and to honor our bodies. It's important. Understand the science. Now, mix spirituality with science now becomes a beautiful understanding. I don't want the science only. Don't talk to me about science only. I'm not science. I am made out of a soul. I have a soul. Then let's look at a person holistically. You know, sex is so important to speak about to our kids. It is so important. And let's bring the holy part of it. Let's talk about the holy part.
I've noted that, and I think that's going to be our another hot topic, because some
Yeah.
of us, what we taught our children is abstinence, totally, until you marry. I know that's not the right thing, but who knows the right thing? I think next time we're going to bring some people, because I know the people that actually taught their children sex education, believe it or not, and I was dazzled to hear that. Our time is up. Liz, have you got any contribution to say to this before we go on?
Well, I think we were just getting into the gist of it, and it will really be nice to take this further because, sex education at schools, as Heidi was saying, definitely has got only the one aspect. And with, the kids sitting there together with their peers, the understanding that they get there could be twisted in a situation that fits them at that point in time, So to complement that with education from home, from church, the other communities in which the kids find themselves, that will definitely add great value to the growth of the kids and the decisions that they are taking. So let's take it from that angle and see how we can help our children.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll be talking to Pastor Karen and Pastor Malcolm about this. Let's bring the sex education back to church. But until then, we're going to have to say goodbye for now, and we see you next week. And don't forget, Heidi is still on the show, and she's bringing a deeper version of this movement that she's on. We see you next week. Bye bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.